14 in the NFL, and we are playing OwnersBox. If you haven't played OwnersBox yet, best place to play daily fantasy sports. If you want to try it, use the link in our description. Use code MENLY when you sign up. They're matching deposits up to $500. Make the most of it while you can. NFL is winding down, getting close to the playoffs here. We are talking running backs. So today, Soda has got our honorable mentions. Soda, start us off.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We got Miles Sanders and Nick Chubb making the honorable mention. And then Adam and I were actually having a little debate right before we recorded here. I wanted Fournette. He wanted Rashad White. So we got a little side bet going here. Who's going to have more fantasy points this week? And I am definitely taking Fournette. Let us know in the comments who's going to get more fantasy points for the Bucs running backs this week.
Yep, and they're the same exact price. So whichever one you want to go with, you can be either Team Sack Daddy or Team Soda, whether you're going with Rashad White or Leonard Fournette there. But we're going to jump right into our top five. And at number 5 this week, a guy who's been number 1 on our list quite a few times, and that is Saquon Barkley going against Philadelphia. He is 6,700, tied for second in rush attempts on the season, and he's 4th in yards. Soda, what do you think about Saquon Barkley this week?
I like the matchup here. I think the Eagles' run defense has gotten a little better. They did pretty good against Derrick Henry last week, but I still like the matchup, and the Giants are just going to rely heavily on Saquon and love his pass game involvement too. I'm thinking this will be as explosive as the Eagles are. I'm thinking this might be kind of low-scoring, ground and pound type of game for both teams.
Yeah, I agree. I think there'll be a lot of running of the football, maybe more by the quarterback on the other side with the Eagles, but I think we'll see a lot of Saquon Barkley. Coming off a tie, which is just brutal for everybody, I think he's going to come out angry along with the rest of the Giants. So Saquon Barkley is our number 5 play on OwnersBox this week. Moving on to number 4 is a guy we've had in our list pretty frequently for a guy who's been injured. He's going against Minnesota. DeAndre Swift is 5,500 on OwnersBox. Soda, what do you think about DeAndre Swift?
We have wanted this guy to be good all year long. And really, when he has played at full health, he's been pretty good. And you see they've just slowly kind of been bringing him along, trying to get him back to full health. And then all of a sudden, boom, he gets 14 carries last week, almost 50 yards in the pass game. I imagine he's going to be pretty involved against the Vikes.
Yeah, other than Jamal Williams scoring the touchdown last week, Jamal Williams was not as involved as DeAndre Swift is. I remember watching him play last game against the Vikes, and he was tearing us up until he got injured. Obviously missed the 3 games after that, but the Vikes give up 6.1 receptions a game to the running back, which is where I think DeAndre Swift will be coming in here. I think DeAndre Swift will have at least 6 receptions is my prediction there. So I think DeAndre Swift could have a very big game. Moving on to number 3 is Ezekiel Elliott in the Battle of Texas going against Houston, who is dead last against running backs. Houston worst in fantasy points per game against running backs, last in rushing yards allowed. They give up the most rushing touchdowns to running backs. Soda, what do you think about Ezekiel Elliott going up against Houston, and why should people pick him over Pollard?
This is the type of play where you can really separate yourself in a tournament in OwnersBox. I know a lot of people kind of tend to stay away from the Cowboys running backs because of the Pollard scenario, but you got to think that this is really going to be a ground and pound type game. Cowboys should be out in front, kind of playing that run game, and to me that favors Zeke. If they got to throw the ball a little more, go a little up tempo, it's going to favor Pollard, but I do not expect that to be a case against a pretty bad Texans team.
Yeah, and you get the goal line work here with Zeke. He's going to get the rushing touchdowns. You're not going to have to worry about Pollard taking those from him. Yeah, like Soda said, any game where they're more up-tempo, they're trying to keep up, getting in a bit of a shootout. Normally we'd lean towards Pollard, but this week we like Zeke going against a bad Houston team. Zeke is also cheaper. I think Pollard is 5,800. He's 5,900, while Zeke is only 5,600. So we like Ezekiel Elliott this week. He is our number 3 running back. Moving on to number 2, one might come as a bit of a surprise, but great value over on OwnersBox going against Seattle, who has been pretty poor against running backs. They give up the third most fantasy points per game to running backs, 112 rushing yards to running backs per game. So what do you think about Deontay Foreman?
Yeah, it's weird to see him in at number 2, but we're not saying he's the second best running back in the NFL. We're saying he's got a great matchup for that price and the volume he's going to get. It's just going to be crazy. I mean, you look at the number of carries he's been getting in yards. Really, it's his show. Hubbard gets a little bit of involvement, but it's really Foreman's show, and I do expect them to be able to run the ball on the Seahawks just like everybody has this year.
Yeah, and Panthers are going to try to control the tempo. They're not trying to get into a shootout with anybody with Darnold back there. It's crazy that they still have a chance in the NFC South, but Deontay Foreman will be running the football a lot. Soda, who do you think is going to take the NFC South this year? Is anybody going to take it?
Well, I'll never bet against the GOAT. Got to give me the Bucs.
Yep, tough to go against the Bucs, but still anybody's division. That brings us to our number 1 play, and that is Derrick Henry going against the Jacksonville Jaguars. He is 6,500 on OwnersBox. He's first in attempts. He's got 10 rushing touchdowns on the year. Not much to not like about Derrick Henry. Soda, what do you think about Derrick Henry?
Probably the thing I like most about him is he's coming off a pretty bad week. People might fade him a little bit.
2 bad weeks.
Yeah, honestly. But I would expect a big bounce back game. They fired their GM this week, so maybe Derrick Henry's a little bit happier in the locker room with him gone, and maybe he's just going to run a little bit harder now.
Yeah, it kind of seems like when the Titans get down, they start playing worse than they should. That's when they start to lean on Henry and go back to their roots. You see this little patch of games right here when he had 22 carries, 28 carries, 30 carries, 32 carries. I think we'll get some of that. I think he'll probably have 25-plus carries this week going against Jacksonville. We'll see a lot of Derrick Henry. You're going to want a lot of him in your lineup. So let's recap. Our top 5 running backs on OwnersBox this week. At number 5 is Saquon Barkley. Number 4, DeAndre Swift. Number 3, Ezekiel Elliott. Number 2, Deontay Foreman. And our number 1 running back on OwnersBox is Derrick Henry of the Tennessee Titans. We hope everybody has a great week on OwnersBox. If you guys have any questions, you can drop them in the comments. Make sure you try out OwnersBox. Follow us on Twitter. Subscribe to our YouTube. And stay manly, everybody.